Hey you guys, it's Britt. Tonight we're here to talk about Avery Woods. She is currently being canceled because of something that she said on a recent podcast, and I had quite a few thoughts, and I've never been a fan of her because of some of the other content that she has put out on TikTok and social media. I don't think that she deserves the huge platform that she's standing on, but this for me really confirm that it's just all too much. It's too dark. It's not funny. It's not comedy. But either way, we're going to talk for a few minutes. So if you're interested, please keep watching. Alright, you guys, so in the beginning of the video, I want to say I did something a little different with my lighting. Tell me if it looks better or worse or the same, if you don't care, if you hate it, if you love it. Just sound off down below. I'm trying to kind of tweak a couple of things and would love to know how y'all feel. But let's talk about Avery. So Avery Woods is a typical run-of-the-mill, in my opinion, very boring influencer. She is flexing on her subscribers. She has overshared about her child. The way that she even got the platform that she's standing on is because she used to bully her daughter and make it content. And for me, that's just somebody that I would never want to support, my personal opinion. But she has now become this huge influencer. She has a podcast. She's doing all the typical influencer things. And she recently did a podcast episode with Harry Jowsey. I'd never heard of this guy before, and it's not really him that I'm focused on. It's the things that Avery is saying, Avery is doing in this podcast. We're going to listen to a rundown from Amanda Christine _1 on TikTok. And she does a good breakdown. She has some of the clips that I wanted to share with y'all. And please keep in mind in the beginning of this video, I don't consider myself to be a super religious person. I just try to be a decent human being and hope that it's returned to me at some point in time, if that's even possible. Even though I'm not considered a religious person, I still know that there are certain things that you just don't say. If you're not religious, you're not a Christian, you're not anything, I get that, and that's your choice, and I'm all good with that. But there's certain things that you can say, and it's just like, okay, this is going so far out of bounds. So let's listen to the clip, and then I'll give my thoughts.
Here's a brief recap of Avery Woods' newest Cheers podcast episode. Now, Avery's receiving a ton of backlash again, this time for her newest podcast episode, which features Harry Jowsey. Right off the bat, Avery tells Harry that she is a milfy mommy that loves to talk about and likes to be asked questions about. Now, Avery's been with her husband David for 10 years, and they also have 2 children together, and she says she's been married long enough that her husband's just not going to care, like, the way she's talking. So back to the interview, when Avery told Harry that she likes to talk about on her podcast, it makes it seem like the podcast is centered around that topic. Which is not the case, because Avery has plenty of podcast episodes by herself or interviewing other people talking about being a nurse, being a mom, mental health, pop culture, or drama that's currently going on TikTok. Now, I will say that Avery does have some saucier podcast episodes where she's doing a solo episode or she has her actual husband talking about these saucy topics. So to have Harry, who doesn't have the best reputation, and to have sex as a topic of conversation for this podcast episode is very weird, especially as a married woman. And now this is just a brief recap, but at one point Harry's reflecting back on being 19 and just entering reality TV. He goes on to say, looking back...
Now, here's my thing. I understand being sex positive and being comfortable having those conversations, but I also agree that if you're having those conversations from the seat of a married woman or a married man, there are certain things where it's kind of overstepping the line of being comfortable having those kinds of conversation versus just being overly immature and pick-me about it. And Avery Woods, to me, is one of those people who is very pick-me, and she uses this as a way to make it sound like I'm the most comfortable, I'm the most confident. Like, it's crosses over into just being cringy, but that's how I feel.
Like, he would have that person beheaded, and Avery's like, ooh, I had. Avery asks Harry, like, what is his type? And then she's like, I hope it's me. Just kidding. Avery asks Harry who his celebrity crush is, and he says Sabrina Carpenter, and Avery's like, oh, that makes me thinking about them too. Avery goes on to ask Harry, like, what are some of his kinkier fetishes? And Harry's kind of like, I don't really know, like, trying not to answer the question. And then Avery's like, well, I love to get it up the butt. And then is like, because I was a pediatric ICU nurse, I know how to get it up the butt safely. Pediatric and getting it up the butt should not be in the same sentence. I'm sorry. On the topic of Harry,
I completely agree with that. Having pediatric and that in the same sentence, the same paragraph, the same anything it's weird. Like, why are you trying to take your experience having cared for young children into how to partake in this in a safe manner? It's not relatable. It's just gross.
Avery goes on to say that her biggest haters are always moms who have some sort of like Bible verse in their bios, and says some of the mean comments that they will leave. And Harry's like, oh, like, they better watch out, like, Jesus is gonna spank them in the butt. Then Avery's like, yeah, Jesus is gonna bend you over. Actually, Jesus is gonna bend you over and ram it in the back door. Avery says she's not religious, even though when she signed on to Unwell, she praised the Lord. And Harry's face while she is saying that is also my face while watching this. Then Avery's like, am I matching your energy, Harry? Get it. As a host, you want to match who you're interviewing's energy, but honestly, Harry just looks so uncomfortable. At one point, he removed his hoodie because he was like sweating so bad. On the topic of Unwell spring break event, Avery and Harry are both attending, and Avery like had made a comment like, yeah, I love to have my kitty cat out. Harry's like, whoa. Avery's like, don't worry, I had 2 C-sections, like, it's my kitty's pristine. Avery also mentioned that when she was breastfeeding and she would be on top doing the deed, milk would go everywhere, and Harry was like, oh, that's so hot. Last but not least, but during Avery's Q&A, she asked Harry, like, I'm technically married, but would you hook up with me? And Harry's like, yes. And Avery's like, woo! You obviously know what Harry's gonna say. Like, do you need his validation? Like, I just don't get the point in asking.
Do y'all understand why I'm, like, looking at this and just... It doesn't take a whole lot of thought or a whole lot of anything to come to the conclusion that this was inappropriate, not only because she's married, but secondly, to make just the weirdest comments about Jesus and the pediatric nurse thing. This was so far out of bounds and so gross. Sometimes people that put on this kind of show, it makes me think like, okay, are you just saying all of this because you're not actually like this behind closed doors? Are you being loud because you're trying to like convince yourself of something? It's very weird. The other thing that I want to say about this, I will include Avery's quote-unquote apology at the end, even though she was only saying, sorry, you guys don't understand my sense of comedy, not saying sorry that it was creepy, inappropriate, weird, and gross. As far as her saying that she is pristine because she has had 2 C-sections, are you trying to say that you're better than them? Are you trying to say that women that have given birth in that manner are not pristine? They're not as perfect as you are? I don't know, to come out and say, I'm for moms and, you know, I'm a mom influencer and I'm a cool girl. You're not being a cool girl when you're doing like this, Avery. And I lost respect for her a long time ago, but this, again, it confirmed for me that I had the correct intuition. Now, like I said, I will put her very pathetic quote-unquote apology in towards the end of the video, but as a comparison, it has 166,000 likes and 3.5 million views. It has over 4,200 comments, and a lot of people are saying the same thing that I said, which is, this isn't an apology. Summary, this is how I am. Sorry. When you apologize sincerely, there is no but. Someone else said, the C-section comment really rubbed me the wrong way. The whole episode was inappropriate in my opinion, and I hope that you rewatch and grow from it. A lot of people are saying that since she signed on with Unwell, which is, from what I understand, Alex Cooper, who is Call Me Daddy, that's her podcast kind of group. Correct me if I'm wrong down below, but that's what I gathered. I don't listen to these people. I don't follow them. But that's what I understand. And people are saying that since she has signed on with Unwell, there has been a shift of her trying way too hard to fit in, and it's not going very well, as we can tell.
All right, I just woke up. I didn't want any more time to pass before I sat down and talked about this. I don't usually do videos like this or address whatever hate is going on in my direction, but this is one of those things where I never ever want to offend people and their beliefs, and so I'm just gonna talk to you. I just turned my camera on. First of all, I just want to say, my podcast is a comedy podcast, and there are jokes that I should not make that cross lines, and I made a joke that crossed a line, and I'm so sorry. I have been very, very open about religion in general. You know, David's father is a pastor, and we've talked very openly on my podcast multiple times about our beliefs and why we believe those things. But I never, ever want to bash religion, bash someone's beliefs. We have so many people in our lives that are religious people and faithful people, and I 100% support them and love them no matter what. There are certain jokes that I should not make, and I regret that wholeheartedly. First of all, I need media training. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. I'm just like looking out the window because I just feel awful. I also just want to say, the episode that I did with Harry was scripted. These were questions that were, written by producers, and I probably should have spoken up and maybe dimmed it down a bit, and I chose not to. This is stuff that I have spoken very, very openly about on my social media for years. If you followed me for any sort of time on Instagram, I've done a segment called Saucy Saturday for probably close to 5 years now, where I've talked about the same subjects, and it's never been new. I think, obviously when you're speaking about those subjects with a straight single man, it might not look the best. In my head, I don't think about it, because when the camera turns on, it's entertainment, right? Like, we are both podcast hosts strictly for entertainment. There's nothing else going on. But when I brought up religion, there was no intention behind it besides explaining that a lot of the hate that I get is from people that are religious and have Bible verses in their bio. And that is because I speak on subjects that are very taboo, especially when it comes to the religious world. And a lot of people that are Christian don't like the subjects that I speak about, and so they send me really nasty, hateful messages. And that was what I was trying to say. The comments after were completely unnecessary, and I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said anything like that. I need to remember that my sarcasm and my comedy is not going to be the same as other people's, and there's certain lines that I shouldn't cross, and I cross those lines, and I apologize. I'm human. I'm here for the first time on this earth, and I'm learning, and I'm trying to do better, and I need to be better for myself and my family and my children. And so that's really all I want to say. This isn't like a fucking feel bad for me, like, come for me, I don't care. There's been so many times where people, have an issue with what I do and don't want to follow me anymore, and that's okay. That is okay. I encourage people all the time. I'm like, please block me if you don't like what you see. That's the beautiful, powerful thing about social media, is that you get to control what you get to see. And if my content isn't for you and I'm not the person for you, that's okay. I fully support you finding the people that are for you. I'm so used to speaking so freely about certain subjects that I've spoken on for so long that I sometimes forget that my online presence has grown so much more than it was, 5 years ago when I first started talking about stuff like this, that I'm bringing in an audience that might not be familiar with me personal. And so obviously those types of subjects and comments can be very shocking. Whereas, if you've been here for a while, then you kind of know that's how I've always operated. But it's probably time to, dim that down, and that's okay. We all grow and evolve and change. And again, I will take this with me forever for the rest of my career. And I just genuinely want to say sorry and that I'll do better. So I don't even know what just came out of my mouth. I hope this made sense. I didn't prepare anything. I just wanted to come on in the moment and talk about it immediately instead of just like disappearing from the internet. I'm not going to do that. I want to hit it head on and tell you that I hear what you're saying. I'm going to learn from this opportunity and grow. And whether you choose to stay or not for that journey, I'm so grateful that you watched this, and hope you have a good Valentine's Day.
Another comment, I'm so sorry you don't get my humor. Lots of people saying they're going to pray for her, and the world kept spinning. A lot of people excusing it, saying that it's just funny, it's just a joke. We can all do better. This authenticity is everything. People just co-sign her because she's got a bunch of people that are parasocially connected and do not have morals of their own. Therefore, they are willing to support people like Avery. But nevertheless, I wanted to make this somewhat quick, and I'm going to be looking for your comments, as always. So for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.